Federal Commission opened an investigation today of the financial crisis and how it might have been averted. A former mortgage official for Citigroup, which got a $45 billion bailout, testified that he raised a red flag a year before the meltdown, but was ignored.
I witnessed business risk practices which made a mockery of Citi credit policy.
In an email to Citigroup executive Robert Rubin, Dick Bowen said that as many as 80% of the mortgages the bank bought in 2007 were defective. Rubin has long been a key player in the financial industry. He's a former executive of Goldman Sachs. The Wall Street powerhouse, which took a $10 billion taxpayer bailout, defended its reputation today, telling shareholders it has always put clients first. Still, Chief Investigative Correspondent Armin Katayan tells us tonight that questions persist about how Goldman maintains power and influence.
Handouts for Wall Street.
Ask the average American worker about Wall Street and they will shout about the bailouts, the bonuses,
Big Bank Green has got to go,
and the excessive risk-taking.
This is economic dictatorship
That nearly took down the U.S. economy.
There's enormous tension, there's enormous envy, there's enormous gap between Wall Street and Main Street.
And right now, no one represents that gap more than the most profitable investment banking firm on Wall Street, where John Corzine was once CEO, Goldman Sachs.
They have succeeded for a very long period of time. They become very much a symbol of what is very frustrating to the general public.
To understand Goldman's outsized influence, take a look at the powerful jobs held by current and former employees. 3 former Treasury secretaries, 2 presidents and 1 chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, a White House chief of staff, the president of the World Bank, the former chairman of Wall Street's law enforcement arm, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the head of the New York Stock Exchange, and the banks of Canada and Italy, and even a prime minister of Italy.
They've been very successful at being able to get that close to the people that they would like to get close to.
You talk to me.
Anthony Scaramucci, a former Goldman vice president, now runs his own money management company.
Treasury secretaries, World Bank, high-ranking government officials, not only in the United States,
has
but
a big influence. But as a shareholder, think about it. Don't you want your senior management creating influence like that around the world?
But increasingly, that international influence has come at a cost to Goldman's once gold-plated image, including the charge of putting its own interest above all else. For example, allegedly helping the Greek government hide its ballooning debt and then betting it would eventually default, contributing to a financial crisis so deep it has led to riots in the streets. Goldman defended itself against similar accusations about its role in the housing crisis in the letter issued today, saying it didn't bet against our clients, but rather was simply managing our risk. Goldman Sachs declined our request for an interview. To the company's credit, it has repaid the $10 billion in bailout money plus interest and set aside another $500 million in bonus funds for charity. And it recently said in its annual report that all the adverse publicity, meaning the bad PR, could pose a risk to its bottom line. To protect that bottom line, Goldman employs an army of lobbyists in Washington, 46 in all from 13 different firms, more than Bank of America and Morgan Stanley combined. Goldman employees also made campaign contributions to more than half of the members of the last Congress. And last December, when the banking reform bill was before a key congressional committee, Goldman employees showered its top Republican, Alabama Senator Richard Shelby, with more than $34,000 in donations. Meaning when it comes to beating back regulation, Goldman isn't shy about leveraging all of its connections.
Goldman has come across in this crisis as telling people we're way smarter than you, we had our cake and we ate it too.
And given its nearly 150-year history, don't bet on Goldman allowing a change in that menu anytime soon. Armin Katayan, CBS News, New York.